Hello everyone and welcome. This is Jennifer McGuire. Today I have a die cut machine info video for you where I talk about different machines that I use and what's great about them. Now, I have been working on this video for a year. Literally a year ago, I started to pull together information for this video, but then I decided to wait and get to know the machines better so I could give you better information. In June, I shot this video and I am just now getting together to share it. If you think that I have my act together, this is proof that I don't. But I have a ton of information to share with you today. I'll be talking about the different die cut machines that I like to use. No machine is better than another. They each have different advantages and everybody has different needs. I also will not be sharing any negatives about any other die cut machines today because that's not how I roll. I want to keep this positive and just talk about why these machines are great. And honestly, of the machines I share today, I don't see drawbacks. Okay, also, I tried to include a ton of information in this video, and I'm sure I missed something or maybe messed something up along the way. So if I have updates to the video, I will put them in the description below, right at the top, so you can see them. So be sure to check that out if you need more info. Another thing I want to mention is I don't work for any of these companies. I bought these machines to show in the video. Keep that in mind. This is really just my personal experience and the information I was able to collect. And last but not least, the best news of all, there are many great die cut machine options, so I'm sure there will be something that will fit your needs. Okay, let's dive in and start with electric machines. These are machines that feed the plates through and do all the work for you with the push of a button. And there are a couple options that I recommend. The machine that I get the most questions about and the machine that I use most for my personal crafting is the Gemini Junior. Now this machine, I got a new one here so I could show you, comes with everything you need to do die cutting and the different techniques that you can do with the die cut machine. It also comes with a few sample dies and an embossing folder. Now this machine, they talk about the different things that it can cut, like fabric and wood paper and so on. I just reach for it the most because it always cuts perfectly, even with an intricate die. So here's what comes in the box. You have an instruction manual that shows you the different sandwich options, like what plates to put where, and the different ways you can use it. As I mentioned, all the plates that you need for this die cut machine are included. You have a plastic shim, a magnetic shim, a metal cutting plate, a rubber embossing mat, which is used to make impressions with dies, and 2 clear cutting plates. The machine that I got also came with a 3D embossing folder and a set of wafer-thin dies that you can start to use right away. The machine itself is approximately 14 pounds. And it's about 11 inches long, 8 inches wide, and 6 inches tall. Of course, it plugs in because it is electric. There's an on-off switch on the back, and then there's a power button on the top, along with a reverse and pause. But I'll be honest, I never use the reverse and pause buttons. There are 2 handle notches on the side of the machine, so you can easily pick it up and move it. Let's next talk about the cutting plates. The plates for this machine are 6 by 9, so that's the area you have to do die cutting, 6 inches by 9 inches. There are many different ways you can sandwich these plates when die cutting. I'm going to show you the few ways I do it, then I will show you the way the company recommends. When I'm doing die cutting with my Gemini, one way is to start with a cutting plate, then the frosted plastic shim, then the magnetic shim. Now we can place our die and our paper on top of this. In this case, when I do my sandwich this way, you put the die down with the cutting edge face up, then the paper on top. That's why I have the tape there to hold it in place. Then I put the other cutting plate on top and I can run it through my machine. This machine auto feeds. As soon as it senses the plates in the machine, it pulls them through so you can go sip coffee, do other creating. You don't have to hold a button. When it comes out the other side, your die will have cut beautifully. This cuts even the most intricate dies. So when I'm doing this, I have to keep in mind that my die goes face up and then the paper on top. This is opposite of what I do with other machines, and it took me just a few days to get used to it. At first, I thought it would drive me crazy, but it really doesn't. This is how I normally use this machine. If I find that this isn't die cutting an intricate die, I can add a metal shim, which I'll show you in a bit, but I usually have no need for it. I can die cut like this and it'll cut through everything, and you can see that here with this large intricate die. Okay, now there is another way that I sometimes use. I switch between the two, I'm not sure why. It's actually the exact same sandwich, just upside down. So I'm really not changing anything, but in this case, I can put my die face down on the paper like I'm used to. So I start with a cutting plate, I put my paper, then my die face down, and then I put the other plates on top. The magnetic shim, and on top of that, the plastic shim, then on top of that, the other cutting plate. So it's the exact same sandwich I showed you before, just upside down. But this allows me to see where I'm putting my die down and not use any tape if I don't want to. This second option is the one that I think makes most sense to people, so let's review that. I've got my list of what I do in my sandwich. We have bottom is on the bottom and then the top is on the top. So let's start on the bottom. I start with a clear cutting plate. Then I put down my paper. On top of the paper, I put my die down with the cutting edge on the paper. Then we put the magnetic shim. And if I feel I need an extra shim, I put the metal cutting plate, but I don't always use that. Then the frosted plastic shim and the other clear cutting plate on top. Remember, this is just the reverse of the first way I showed you, so either works. And I find that I've had a lot of success with these, and my plates and shims have lasted a long time, although you can get replacement plates and shims. And yes, this is a bit different than what the company recommends, but I've been doing it this way for a long time now, and it's been working great. So let me share with you what the company recommends. In fact, I think they changed it up recently, and this is the most recent recommendation for a sandwich with the Gemini or Gemini Junior. So let's look here at regular die cutting on the left. If you look at their recommended sandwich, it's just like mine, except for the plastic shim and the magnetic shim are reversed. That's the only difference. The reason I don't put my plastic shim up against my die is I found that it was wearing quicker than if I put my magnetic shim up against my die. That seemed to hold up longer, but you could do either way. Now in the middle is what they recommend for intricate dies. In that case, they put their metal cutting plate below their paper. You can see that in the middle there. However, I don't do that because my metal cutting plate wasn't lasting very long. So instead, I use my metal cutting plate as a shim, and I put it up there on top, right below the top cutting plate. It seems either option works, but if you want to be careful, you might want to follow the company's recommendations because they probably know better than I do. So there are many options. And I will say, I've never had trouble with die cutting with this machine. I find it always cuts through, even if I use two large intricate background dies on the plates at once. It cuts like butter, and I've always been impressed with the results. If you are concerned about confusion with the plates, I promise that after a couple days of die cutting, it becomes very easy and you won't have any trouble. Now, they do talk a lot about the different materials that you can cut with the Gemini, and I thought I would demonstrate one of them, and that is cork paper. This actually has adhesive on the back. It's pretty thick, and you'll see that it die cuts beautifully. So on the box, they list all these different materials you can cut in addition to paper. You can also use embossing folders with your Gemini machines. I usually do a clear cutting plate, then the embossing folder with paper, and another clear cutting plate on top. If you run that through and it didn't make a very deep impression, you can add your metal cutting plate as a shim, as I did here. With the Gemini, you are also able to emboss paper with a die. In this case, I start with the clear cutting plate, then a plastic shim. Then I take the black embossing mat that comes with the machine. This kind of feels like a rubber mat that has some flexibility to it. I put that down, then the paper with the die on top of that cutting edge down, and then the clear cutting plate on top. And I run this through my machine. Keep in mind that this machine does come with a guidebook that makes it easy to figure out your sandwich. And there you can see how I made an impression with my die on the paper. Another question people ask about the Gemini Junior is how loud it is. So I actually have a recording of the machine running. I apologize as I had the radio on in the background too, but this does give you an idea of the sound that it makes. It's nothing too loud and it doesn't bother me, but I wanted to share it. So there's a closer look at the Gemini Junior die cutting machine from Crafter's Companion. In addition to the Gemini Junior, there's also the Gemini. This is the original machine that they first came out with. It works exactly like the Gemini Junior, but it's a larger machine. So I'm going to just quickly show it as all the sandwiches and such are the same as the Junior, but I wanted to show you the size difference. The original Gemini weighs 5 or 6 pounds more than the Junior, and it's the same size except for it's only about 3 or 4 inches wider. The cutting area for this is much bigger though. The cutting plates that you can put through here are 9 by 12, so you could run a full 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock through here with a bunch of dies at once. If I'm doing a lot of die cutting, I reach for this bad boy because I can cut a lot at one time. Now the shims and the plates that it comes with are just like the Junior, only bigger, and the sandwiches that I use are the same. Keep in mind, if you want to, you can use the smaller plates from the Junior in this machine and then feed them through sideways, so it'd go 9 inches sideways, 6 inches long, and that way you have smaller cutting plates that work with the bigger Gemini, so you can either use the smaller or bigger plates. Since the Gemini and the Gemini Junior both work the same and cut the same, I really don't know which one to recommend. It depends on your needs. I use the Junior regularly because it's easy to pick up and move around. But when I'm doing a ton of die cutting, I get out my Gemini because I've bought both. However, you're good with one of these machines as they both work wonderfully. I can't say enough about the quality of these machines, and I will provide a link below to the PDF that Crafter's Companion has provided with recommended sandwiches. I also wanted to mention that Crafter's Companion recently came out with the Gemini Go. This is a smaller machine. The cutting plates are about 3 inches wide. Now it really works much like the Junior and the regular Gemini, but you can use a battery pack with this or plug it in. So it's really meant for on the go. I have it, but I haven't used it yet, as I find that the Junior really fits my needs. Another electric machine that I recommend is the Sizzix Big Shot Express. Now this works differently and has different advantages, so hopefully you can compare the different options and find what fits your needs. The Sizzix Big Shot Express has been around for a long time, but it has been redesigned throughout the years, and this is the most recent version. You probably have seen me use it in videos before. The weight of this machine is very similar to the Gemini Junior, but the footprint is a bit larger, which has its advantages. The cutting plates are also 6 by 9, like the Gemini Junior. There is no power button on this machine. However, there is a handle on the top, which makes it easy to pick up and move around. To make your plates go through this machine, you have that switch that you either push to the right or you push to the left, depending on which direction you want your plates to go. Now this machine comes with everything you need to do die cutting with wafer thin dies or those thick original dies. However, there are some additional products that I do recommend if you get the Sizzix Big Shot Express. However, you can use what it comes with. There is a guidebook included with the recommended sandwiches, depending on what you need to do. There are 2 clear 6 by 9 cutting plates, and there are replacement plates available. Keep in mind, no matter what kind of die cutting machine you're using, it's always good to flip around and reverse the direction of your cutting plates so they last longer. In addition to the cutting plates, there is the extended platform, this long platform, and the extended shim. And what's nice is on the platform and shim, it tells you what sandwich you need to do. So it's always right there, always easy to figure out. Okay, so let's cut with a wafer thin die since that's what most of us use. I use the platform, then the shim on top, then one of the clear cutting plates. On top of that, we're supposed to put our die down face up, the paper on top of that, then the top cutting plate, and run it through this way. However, I've never done it that way, and I think a lot of us don't do it this way, but it's up to you. I instead put my paper down, then the die cutting edge down, then the top cutting plate, and I run it through. Now this is not auto feed. You need to push the button and hold it as it runs through. That's a little bit different than the Gemini Junior that feeds the plates for you. But this does have a button that allows you to die cut in either direction. In other words, feeding the plates either to the left or to the right. Another advantage of this machine is you see that gray area to the right of the handle and to the left of the handle? You can set your plates on there, arrange your paper and die, then run it through. It's almost like there's a table there where you can arrange everything. Now, if you are to get the Sizzix Big Shot Express, there are a couple additional products that I recommend getting. I really like the Multipurpose platform. This is one platform with these tabs. And on the platform, it tells you which tabs to use depending on what you're doing with your machine. I like that all the plates are combined together here. So all you need is the Multipurpose platform and 2 clear cutting plates to do your die cutting. You do not have to get the Multipurpose platform. Instead, you can use that long platform and shim that comes with the machine. I just find it handier and I find that it cuts very well, but it is an option. Regardless of if you use the Multipurpose platform like I do, or if you use the platform and shim that come with the machine, I do recommend getting a memory box metal adapter plate. I just put this shim directly under the bottom cutting plate. This just provides a little extra pressure to make sure that I cut through intricate dies. I use this almost every time I use this die cut machine. I find that by using that metal shim, I am much more successful at cutting with large, intricate dies. I know there is a precision plate that Sizzix has that some people use for die cutting with intricate dies, but I found that metal shim is all I need. Okay, let's take a listen to what the machine sounds like. Before we move on to the other things you can do with the Express, let's review the sandwich. This is what I do here. Let's start on the bottom of the list. On the bottom of my sandwich, I have the Multipurpose platform. If you do not get that Multipurpose platform, instead here you would have those extended platform and shim that comes with the machine. On top of that, I like to use a metal adapter plate or shim, then a clear cutting plate, then your paper, die face down, and then a clear cutting plate on top. One thing I do want to mention is that clear cutting plate that's in the middle, just below the paper, it starts to get little marks in it because you're pressing a die into it all the time. So I always keep that one in the middle. Then the clear cutting plate on the top, I always keep it on the top so it stays nice. Then when my middle plate gets too worn to use anymore, I take that top plate, put it in the middle, and get a new top plate. For some reason, it just makes my plates last longer. However, I do like to flip and rotate my plates once in a while to keep them from warping. I will provide a link below to what Sizzix recommends for sandwiches, which is similar to mine, and it is printed on the plates. Let's next look at how to use embossing folders with your Big Shot Express. I'm going to show you how to do it with the Multipurpose platform, but keep in mind you can use the plates the machine comes with. For me, I switch it so that we're on tab 1, and it does say that right there on it so you know which to use. So I keep that open on tab 1. I put down my bottom cutting plate, my embossing folder with the paper, and then my top cutting plate, and run it through, and you'll have a great impression on your cardstock. Keep in mind there are different types of embossing folders out there. This is just the regular embossing folder. For 3D embossing folder, you change things up a bit. Usually you just skip the bottom cutting plate. Now to make an impression with a die with the Sizzix Big Shot Express, I like to use the Spellbinders embossing mat. I again open my Multipurpose platform to tab 1. I put down one clear cutting plate, then the embossing mat, my paper, my die face down, and then the top clear cutting plate. That embossing mat from Spellbinders has a little give to it. It has some flexibility, so it allows you to make an impression with the die without actually cutting. I highly recommend getting that inexpensive product because it allows you to get more from your dies. I have mentioned in previous videos that I have drawers for my electric machines, and a few people have asked to see it. So here's a photo. This is right where I work, right to the left of me. It's a lower cabinet. Now in this cabinet I have 3 pull-out drawers. In one of the drawers I have my Big Shot Express, and there is a plug in the back of the cabinet where I plug them in. In another drawer, I have my Gemini Junior, and I actually just use them in the drawer. I pull it out, use it, and then I can close the drawer up. In videos, I pull one up to show on the screen what I'm doing, and that's why I usually reach for the Big Shot Express because it's got that handle. But if I want to be sure to cut beautifully every time, even with intricate multiple dies, I usually use the Junior. Both are great machines, it just depends on your personal needs. Before we move on, I also want to mention another die cut machine that is incredible. It is the Tim Holtz Sizzix Vagabond 2. I used my Vagabond for many years exclusively. The only reason I stopped using it is that when I built my new craft room, it's too tall for the drawer in my cabinet, so that's why I don't use it anymore. However, it is an incredible machine. I really like that it folds up so you can easily store it. And you can use wafer-thin dies or the traditional thick dies with it. And it cuts wonderfully. So this is another option that you can consider. It's taller than most machines, but it does fold up. Okay, next, if you're looking for a non-electric machine, I have a couple that I recommend. These machines do not require power, and instead you feed the plates through the machine by using a crank on the side. The first machine that I recommend is the Spellbinders Platinum. Now there is the original Platinum, which is a wider machine and allows for bigger cutting plates, but I'm focusing today on the Platinum 6. I find that size is perfect for on-the-go crafting and easy access. So this is the Platinum 6, and I really like the white clean-cut design of it. The nice thing about this machine is it folds up and is quite small, so it doesn't take much room to store. The handle pops out of the top so you can easily pick it up, put it on your shelf, and then grab it when you need it again. The sides open up on this. So again, it makes it smaller for storage, but you do have those kind of tables that you can arrange your plates on as you're using it. The guide that comes with the machine is very handy and has everything you need to know to use the machine. The machine also comes with everything you need to do die cutting, embossing with embossing folders, or embossing with a die. So there is a platform that contains all the information you need, so it's easy to reference. Let's do some basic die cutting. I start with the platform first, and then one of my clear cutting plates on top of that. I use the same clear cutting plate here each time. Then I have my cardstock, my wafer-thin die cutting edge down, and then my other clear cutting plate on top. I push the plates through and start cranking the handle, and this feeds it through the machine. So this is a manual machine. If you have concerns with arthritis, you might want to consider one of the electric machines I showed you earlier. Here's showing die cutting of a large intricate die, and it cuts well. This is the machine that I'll grab and take with me upstairs so that I can die cut in front of the TV, or if I want to take something on the go and need a bigger machine. I also do like that there's just the platform and the 2 cutting plates when you want to do basic die cutting. So here is the sandwich I use just in case you want to see it again. Let's start with the bottom. On the bottom, we have the white platform, a clear cutting plate, my paper, then my die face down, and then a clear cutting plate on top. I haven't found a need for a metal shim, but if you wanted to use one, you could try it right above the platform. Next, let's use an embossing folder. I'm following the instructions right on the platform, so it's super easy. I put my paper inside of the embossing folder and put that directly on the platform and the blue plate on top. In this case, you do not need to use any of the cutting plates, and you get a beautiful result. Now, if you want to emboss with one of your wafer-thin dies, you can also do that with the Platinum 6, and it even comes with the embossing mat. You do the platform, the brown embossing mat, your cardstock, your die face down, and then the embossing plate on top. That's the blue plate. This will give you a beautiful impression with your die. And again, all of these pieces come with the machine, so you don't have to worry about buying a separate item. And last but not least, my favorite thing about this machine is that when you're done using it, you can fold the sides up and easily tuck it away. It doesn't take up much space. So that is the Platinum 6. Remember, the original Platinum is bigger, and you have that option too. Another recommendation for a non-electric machine is this Sizzix Big Shot. This is very similar to the Big Shot Express that I talked about earlier. However, it's not electric, and instead you have the crank on the side that you use to feed the plates through. Now, this is probably the die cut machine I've been using the longest. I think they've improved it and changed it a bit over the years, but this is another great option for non-electric. You have those gray kind of tables on the side that'll allow you to range your plates as you're working. This machine comes with all the plates that you need to do die cutting with the traditional thick dies and the wafer-thin dies that most of us use today. I do recommend getting the multi-purpose platform and the metal shim separately. As I mentioned with the Express, I just find that that helps to get great results every time. The sandwich of plates that I use with this Big Shot is the exact same as the Big Shot Express that I showed you earlier. I also use embossing folders and emboss with dies the exact same way. Since I already demonstrated everything with the Express, I'll save the time and not show it again, but feel free to refer back to that if needed. Okay, in addition to these larger die cut machines, there are a couple mini machines that are great for just quick die cutting and for on-the-go crafting. My first recommendation is the Holtz Sidekick. This is a small and lightweight machine. Now keep in mind with these smaller machines, the cutting area is smaller, so you can only use smaller dies with it. I like to keep it on my work surface so that I can quickly run a sentiment die through it, and it's also great for on-the-go crafting. My favorite thing about this machine is that the bottom has a suction on it. You turn that black lever on the back, and it suctions onto most work surfaces. Here I have it on my countertop, which is granite. It also suctions nicely onto my glass media mat. And this is fantastic because it keeps the machine stable as you feed your plates through. You just put your paper and die between them, feed them through, and it cuts nicely. You can see that because of that suction, I don't have to hold the machine as I manually feed the plates. And here you can see how beautifully it cuts. This machine also has the option for using an embossing folder or mini embossing folders. Use a cutting plate, the embossing folder, and then the gray plate. These plates are included with the machine when you get it. The machine also comes with a little example embossing folder and some small dies too. Now here is a little mini embossing folder and mini die set. Holtz has a bunch of these out that are really cute, and they're perfect for using with this Sidekick. You can use them with a regular die cut machine too, but these sizes are excellent for quick die cutting and embossing. I mentioned a few of the things that the machine comes with, but let's look at it all. You get the embossing folder and instruction booklet, a small example die set, stamp set, and embossing folder, 2 cutting plates, and an embossing plate. And replacement cutting plates are available for this machine. Okay, last but not least is the oh-so-cute Altenew Mini Blossom die cutting machine. This is another baby machine that is just adorable, and I've heard that people even color those flowers with Copic markers. There are little suction feet on this. It doesn't suction as much as the Sidekick, but it is helpful. Now this works much like the Sidekick. You have 2 small cutting plates that it comes with. The cutting plates are 6x3, so you can only use wafer-thin dies that are smaller than that. You put your paper and your die between the 2 cutting plates and run it through. I believe Altenew now does have replacement plates available for this when needed. But I do find that all of my plates last long as I flip them and rotate them every once in a while. And there you can see this cuts beautifully and is great for quick die cutting. I have one sitting on my desk that I can often reach for. Okay, so there you have it. A look at the die cut machines that I use the most. I really hope that this information is helpful to you. Again, please check out my YouTube description below for links to these products and any updates that I feel I need to add. Also, please check out the blog link that I provide. In my blog post, I have all of these details all written up so that you can go back for quick reference. I'm really hoping that's helpful to you. Also, I will be back with more of my favorite crafty things, and one of those episodes will be about additional die cutting tools that I feel are helpful to go along with any of these machines. I appreciate you visiting. I hope you have a great day, and we'll see you again soon.